All right, welcome everyone. This is the current edition in the YouTube series for the Department of Criminology and Criminal Justice. And today we're going to be talking about graduate education. And this is certainly the time of year where students are getting close to graduation and thinking about what comes next, whether that be an occupation or graduate school or perhaps some combination of both. And we have two experts here today that will help you understand that. First, we have Dr. Robert Bing, who is a professor in our department, and he is also a recently elected trustee at large for our major national organization, the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences. Dr. Bing, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Excellent. And next we have Dr. Jaya Davis, who is an associate professor in our department and is also our graduate programs director. We're very pleased to have her here as well. How are you, Dr. Davis?
I'm good, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. So I'm wondering if you all could just introduce yourselves briefly, including the schools that you attended along the way, and maybe just a quick overview of some of the work you have done at UTA. Dr. Bing, will you go first, please?
Sure. Now, I am a native Floridian, and I attended undergrad school in Worcester, Massachusetts at Holy Cross College. Again, my undergrad degree was in sociology. While at Holy Cross, I learned a lot, with respect to, I learned a lot in the classroom and also a lot about social justice. Beyond Holy Cross College, I moved on to Florida State University and obtained a master's degree, and then 2 years later, a PhD in criminology, again from Florida State University. And I have a lot of pride for my institution, FSU. I think I received an excellent education while at FSU, and I have no regrets about having attended. Here at UT Arlington, I have served on many different committees at the university, department, and college level. As you both know, service is in my DNA. It's difficult for me to say no. I should add that I wrote the proposal for independent and then departmental status for the program many, many years ago.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Davis?
Sure. So starting with my nativity, I am a native Texan. So I am 8th generation Texan. And I have my undergraduate degree from University of Houston at Clear Lake. I have my undergrad is in psychology. My master's degree is also from University of Houston at Clear Lake, and that is going to be in criminology. And then my PhD is from Prairie View A&M, where I hold that PhD in juvenile justice. I have loved being on campus for these last almost or over a decade by this point. I have had the privilege of serving as a faculty fellow for service learning, and as well as the Idea Center that really tries to enhance our students' education. So I really have enjoyed both of those areas of service and learning. Additionally, I do some research related to reentry and incarceration, and as well, I've worked in with a community organization that supports girls that have experienced maternal incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent, thank you. So I want to try to make this as applicable as possible for our students. If you all could think back to the time when you were an undergraduate student and you were starting to think carefully about the next step after graduation, at what point did you all start thinking seriously about graduate school? And then were there certain professors or other mentors that encouraged you in that direction? Dr. Davis, can you go first?
Sure. So I guess like a lot of our students, my educational path is non-traditional. So after high school, I enlisted in the United States Navy, and I was there for 6 years and started my secondary education during my enlistment, and then came back to Texas and finished up my undergraduate degree. I knew pretty early that I wanted to go on for a master's education. Most of the things that I was interested in, I couldn't stop with just a bachelor's degree. I had to go forward to a master's level education. But it wasn't until I was in a race and crime class with Dr. Penn at University of Houston Clear Lake that I found my passion and I knew what I wanted to do. So before that, I was thinking forensic psych, even possibly a school counselor. My undergrad degree is in psychology, like I mentioned. But in that environment, working with students in that classroom, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do research. I wanted to talk to people, especially students, and educate them about overrepresentation of minorities in the juvenile justice and adult system. So absolutely, from that class with Dr. Penn, he has been one of my mentors since then, and definitely that's where my, I guess, passion for moving forward into my PhD program was really born.
Excellent. Dr. Bing?
Okay, sure. When I think back many years ago, there were two instructors who kind of piqued my interest in graduate school. Father Mike Millen and Dr. O'Greta McNeil. Although, I'll be honest with you, graduate school was already on my radar, and my mom and dad would not have had it any other way. I mean, not going to graduate school was untenable in my household. I will say that both of these instructors, Father Mike Millen and Dr. Mike Neal, were very student oriented. And I think that student orientation, I mean, the fact that they reached out to me oftentimes and encouraged me, even though graduate school was on my radar, was very helpful and was very instrumental in my completing my undergraduate studies. And also kind of provided me with the energy and the information I needed to make the next step toward graduate school.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right, so fast forward to the time where you've already finished graduate school and now you've started to teach your own graduate courses here at UTA. Can each of you just describe maybe one or two courses that you really enjoy teaching here, so maybe give a little flavor to our students? Dr. Beam?
Sure. I have, I guess the courses that I enjoy teaching are, and I'll strike the word guess. I mean, I enjoy teaching race, crime, and the law at the graduate level. I also enjoy teaching ethics and the CJ system, although the ethics class presents some challenges because I have to deal with or introduce the class to the different philosophical founders, and we have to talk about Locke and Rousseau and Hobbes and Aristotle, and we talk a lot about deontological thinking versus utilitarianism, and that's the difficult part. But over time, the students began to enjoy it. In this classroom, one of the things that I try to do, and my colleagues are probably doing the same thing actually, is to make every effort to challenge students to rethink the conventional wisdom, with regard to crime and criminal justice. Now, I make every effort, especially in that race, crime, and law class, to ensure that students, are exposed to conventional and non-conventional viewpoints. And once more, not unlike my colleagues, I strive to get students to immerse themselves, into the subject matter, and to be critical consumers of information. So I really think I go out of my way to make every effort that students understand that it's one thing to read it, but they also need to be kind of critical consumers, of what they read, and that they should not just accept on face value, any piece of research.
Absolutely. Dr. Davis?
Yeah, and I think that message is definitely getting across to our students. I am very privileged to be able to advise a lot of our graduate students, and I ask them how it's going, and universally, they are being challenged in your class, Dr. Bing, and thinking about these ethical issues and, how maybe they had one perspective, and through the readings and class discussions, they're really growing their minds and their thought processes. So I know that that's getting through. For me, my primary two graduate classes are going to be pro seminar and crime and public policy, and I really enjoy teaching both of those for very different reasons. Our pro seminar class is, for lack of a better term, kind of introduction to grad school. I take it that way as far as these, we usually have students in their very first semester in that pro seminar class, and we're breaking down and partially what you think grad school might be about and building up the tools to be successful in the program. So I really enjoy having students in the very beginning and helping to set expectations for the rest of the program, giving them tools to be able to hopefully write effectively, critically think in all of these classes like Dr. Bing has pointed out, but also to really think about different pieces, kind of as Dr. Bing was already talking about, but different pieces of the criminal justice system and how we may look at it from one orientation, but there are so many different ways to really process our thoughts about criminal justice and criminology, and I really enjoy being able to do that with our students. And then with crime and public policy, that also is a class I really enjoy. Usually I get students almost at the end in that class, so I get to see everyone kind of come full circle. And in that class, I really want our students to think about the origins of the policies related to law and the criminal justice system, why this is the way it is, and as Dr. Bean really pointed out, critically assess how it can be different, what's wrong, what's broken, and what are ways in which we can, as people that are examining the system, really be able to make changes. And sometimes students don't understand how they individually can affect change, but we really try in this class, I think, to make it tenable for everyone to really understand their place in policy and policy change. And so both of those classes are very exciting for me.
Good. One of the questions I tend to get most often from juniors and seniors that are thinking about graduate school is about the expectations. And so they want to know how much more challenging is it in terms of the time needed and the extent to which maybe there are really strong expectations for quantitative methods and analysis and things like that. So how would you all describe the difference between your undergraduate and your grad courses? And so, for example, are your expectations different in those graduate courses? Dr. Davis?
So I would say yes, my expectations are different. When I have, a large class that is undergraduate students, we are getting these basic concepts of the criminal justice system and criminology and, what is really the basic fundamental pieces. And of course, you're going to build on that through your undergraduate career. But by the time you get to the master's level, you should have that foundation. And now we're trying to expand it. We're trying to make you critical thinkers. We're trying to have you really be consumers of the information that we're providing you. In addition to that level, you are likely going to be in a much smaller classroom. So our expectation, in addition to the reading assignments and the writing assignments, and you're going to write and read a lot more than you did probably at the undergraduate level. But in addition to that, I want you to learn from your colleagues. I want you to learn from your peers. And so it's so very important, and it's critical from my perspective, that you come to the classroom prepared, that you have digested the material that we have asked you to embark upon, and then you're ready to really talk through this material with your peers. Because one of the great things I think about graduate education is you're not just learning from us. You're not just learning from me, from Dr. Bing, from Dr. Kerley. You're learning from each other. And that's really one of the big differences that I see primarily from your undergraduate education and moving into your graduate education.
Dr. Bing?
That would be my answer. I agree with all of the points made by Dr. Davis, but let me reiterate a few points that I think are fairly intuitive. When I think about graduate instruction, I think more reading, more writing. I think that students learn early on, or they need to learn early on, that they must share a larger role in the learning process. So I strive to make the graduate experience even more cerebral than the undergraduate experience. So as Dr. Davis has mentioned, I want my students to think. When they are making a presentation, I told the group last night or night before last, Now, make us think, all right? Don't just go through the process, but enlighten us in your presentation. But I agree with all of the points made by Dr. Davis. I mean, she really made the strong points in answering the question. Thank you.
Excellent. So one of the things I remember doing as probably about a junior undergraduate, and then something I continued all the way through until I finished my PhD, is that I made a list of all the things my professors did to me or to us as a class that I didn't like. and I vowed never to do those things to my students, and whether it be things like inconsistencies in grading or questionable policies for completing different assignments, or anything else that I thought was unreasonable. I vowed never to do with my students. Are there some things that you all maybe went through as undergraduates or in graduate school that you said, okay, I'm going to make sure I don't do that to my students when it's me on the other side of the lectern?
Well, I'll chime in here. Now, Dr. Davis's response might be different, but as I think about your question, in 2021, I cannot think of anything that I would do differently. As an instructor, as a student rather, I respected the right of each instructor to present class material or content differently. As a student, I looked forward and was eager to learn and to answer questions. I mean, I enjoyed the classroom experience so much. At FSU, I took more courses than I needed to before taking comprehensive exams. So I can't think of anything that I would do differently.
That's excellent.
That I did not like or vowed not to do in the classroom as an instructor.
That's excellent. Dr. Davis?
Yeah, so thinking about my experience, I think a lot of it is similar actually to Dr. Bing, and maybe not so much you, Dr. Kerley. I do not have a list of negative experiences that I can pull from to say that I would never do that again. I think one of the things that I really strive to do in my class, not that I experienced this personally, is fairness, transparency, to make sure that our students feel respected and also heard in our classrooms. But I think one of the things that I really took away from my experience, which is not a negative necessarily from my classroom experience, but from my experience as a graduate student, which I think is very similar to a lot of our graduate students, is trying to figure out what I want to do with this degree. And I had a couple of false starts. And so as an advisor, as an undergrad, I thought I wanted to go into forensic psych. I thought I wanted to do behavioral psychology, a lot like some of our graduate students. And I was able to learn through some stops and starts that weren't so efficient for me that, it takes time and it takes a lot of effort to achieve some of the things that may not be as realistic. So what I really took from that, which I hope that I impart, especially through advising, maybe a little bit less in the classroom, is to really help students think through their goals and to offer them either my experiences of what did or didn't work, but also drawing on all of our faculty experiences. So I'm very fortunate to, know something about all the faculty that our students have. And so if I know that there's another faculty member who has, a similar background or has similar research interests or similar, experiences, I really enjoy being able to connect students to faculty for those experiences. So not necessarily a list of negative things, but definitely things that I learned through, my experience as a graduate student that I really try to help foster positive experiences for our students.
Good. Yeah. And I think the good news for our students is we have a world-class faculty, and hopefully they will never be in a position where they are keeping a list like I did of things they don't want to replicate. So I appreciate you all sharing that. All right, so here's the big takeaway. What is the power of the graduate degree, and what can it do for you? And then also want to follow up with that and say, once students have made a decision about going to graduate school, why choose UTA instead of any of the other programs in DFW? Davis?
Yeah, so I think going back partially to Dr. Bing's experiences before, I would say that there are two reasons primarily that you want to think about continuing your education professionally and personally academically. So as Dr. Bing was talking about, always being a student and enjoying going to class, that was my experience as well. I enjoyed being in the classroom. I mean, you can't go through the levels of education I think that all three of us have if you didn't like learning, right? You didn't like reading, you didn't like writing. So I think personally, academically, the master's degree is going to foster that for you, is going to help you learn more for your own satisfaction. Professionally, of course, it's going to open doors for you. So whether that's a brand new career and it's opening that door that is going to put you ahead of maybe someone you're competing with for that position, or it's going to open successive doors. So you're already in your career and this is going to help you advance in the career that you're in. So there's definitely advantages both personally and professionally, in my opinion. And then why UTA? Why not UTA is what I want to say, but certainly UTA, compared to some of the other opportunities that you have in this beautiful DFW area, as Dr. Kerley has already pointed out, we have a world-class faculty. We not only offer the rigor that is important for a great graduate education, but we're also, in my opinion, great people. So we really want to see you be successful. And I'm certainly not saying that other programs don't have that, but I know when you're here at UTA, we are going to do everything we can to support you and support your education. We are here for your success. And I would say, in addition to the great level of education you receive from us, you also receive a lot of support. And I think that's what really sets us apart.
Dr. Bing?
Okay, sure. Well, I am going to thank you for the question, kind of restate perhaps differently some of the answers that you've already heard from Dr. Davis. So first things first, I think the graduate degree is an awesome degree. So what is the value? As Dr. Davis has already suggested, as an academic, my first answer would be the acquisition of additional knowledge. And then second, this additional knowledge will provide the skill set for career advancement. And a third point would be that the graduate degree kind of creates once more opportunities for career advancement. And fourth, once you have that graduate degree in your hands, it will probably influence your ability to will increase promotional opportunities, or provide you with the opportunity to receive a salary increase. So the salary increase would be commensurate with your degree. So I think there are linkages between income and completion of the graduate program. So the second part of your question, why UTA? I mean, I like Dr. Davis's response, but my nuanced response to that question might be because when I think about the other programs, in the metropolitan area, I think we're probably the only one that offers a degree in criminology and criminal justice. So, our students get the benefit of both.
Excellent. All right. So if students might be interested, Dr. Davis, as our graduate coordinator, can you tell our students how they might apply to our program and maybe tell them what sorts of documents they might need to apply?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step is to fill out that application. It's located on our website in the big, bold apply little link that you click. It's very similar if you use the Apply Texas application for your undergraduate degree. So apply first, you will also need 3 letters of recommendation. Those letters ideally would come from people who know you well academically. So we really hope that you can provide those letters from, your faculty at the undergraduate level or other individuals that might know your ability to write and your other academic skills. So those 3 letters of recommendation can either be written in a free form letter, or certainly you can contact me for a form that I can provide you that they can fill out. All those letters of recommendation can be sent directly to me, and my information is certainly on our website. And finally, in some instances, you might need to take the GRE. At the moment that we're filming this, that we are able to waive that GRE due to some circumstances related to the pandemic. So we will be able to do that for some time. You also may have experience related to your professional life that might act as a substitute for the GRE. So we do have a GRE requirement, but there are opportunities to either waive or substitute that GRE. So just contact me and we'll be happy to talk through that and talk about your options.
Excellent. So students, you can access all sorts of information at our website at www.uta/criminology. And we are actually in the midst of a major website revision. And it looks quite nice and even easier to navigate than the previous one. So you can very easily find Dr. Bing's faculty profile if you want to reach out to him via email, Dr. Davis as well, and also via her role as graduate coordinator. You can find all the information you need. You can find me there as well. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions for us. We'd be really happy to welcome you to the UTA family. So again today, Dr. Robert Bing, Dr. Jaya Davis, thank you very much for joining us. You two are amazing examples of what the graduate education can do in someone's life and career. And I appreciate very much the role that you play in the lives of our students here at UTA. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
At the end of every session, we always like to say, "Go Mavs." All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.